What's happening, guys? James Blonde here with MMOHuts.com, showing off a special treat for you guys today. The Nosgoth team at Psyonix and Square Enix let me hop onto their private servers to get an exclusive look at the brand new vampire class, the Summoner, which is actually set to join the game Tuesday, February 3rd. And this, of course, is the first female vampire class available in the game, and is only one small part of all kinds of new stuff coming to the game now that it's transitioned finally over to open beta. So, getting right into things, these summoners, according to the lore, are cursed immortals trapped in decaying bodies and have sought out forbidden lore in their attempts to save themselves. Flesh sculptures graft material from unwilling sacrifices to their own bodies to cover their overall rotting putrid smell, while soul-wrights call upon the powers of the underworld to fuel their battlefield sorceries of destruction, protection, and summoning. Putrid smell. Sounds both gross and kinda awesome if you ask me. So not only does the summoner have the ability to summon slayers from the underworld, she can also do a nice job shielding herself from projectiles as well as help out her allies with crowd control. Her default special ability is Hell Strike, which is kind of like a missile barrage of energy that hones in on a targeted AoE. It takes about a second to cast, but you can send it out a long ways. It's super range, so you can set back a little bit and safely injure humans. Plus it does 350 damage to any target within its 400 unit radius. Now, her alternative special ability is Abyssal Bolt, which is kind of like an energy depth charge, but instead of dealing explosive damage at the very end of it, it deals area damage as it charges up within the same 400 unit radius as Hell Strike. So this too is a nice ranged ability that deals good damage. The summoner's primary ability, of course, is to summon. By default, you summon a single greater ghoul that hunts down a single target of choice. Now, you've actually got to select your target by holding down the Q key, letting it charge for a little bit, kind of like you do with the Reaver's Pounce, and then click the left mouse button to actually perform the summon. This took me a little bit to figure out completely because I had to learn it on the fly, but the Slayer summon itself does 75 damage, lasts for 12 seconds, and has a little bit more than half the health of the summoner herself. If anything, they make for a great distraction while you turn around and kill your enemy, which sadly was still the hard part for me. The alternative to the single summon slayer is, of course, two summon slayers that don't go after a specific target that you select, but any human in general. You can call upon these guys a little bit more often due to their shorter cooldown, but they do have a 10-second duration instead of the 12, and basically share the health equal to the greater ghoul, so they split that in half, so around 275 health units. Same goes for the damage output. They do about half of what the greater ghoul does. But once again, they are double the distraction. I can say from the human side, they are pretty tough to deal with. And finally, her secondary ability is a lifesaver. No, literally. It can save your life. Or at least it's supposed to. I didn't quite use it that way. The ability is called Abyssal Barrier, and it completely repels projectiles directly in front of the summoner for 3 seconds. This one is pretty handy for peeking around corners, it seems, safely, or even covering for your vampire allies because it's basically a massive shield that you all can get behind for, well, the 3 seconds. The drawback, I suppose, is that you actually have to hold down the ability key in order to use the skill, which by default is F. And if you let it go, you lose it. Following that, a lot of times, is death. I've got to admit her look overall is fairly impressive. Just like the other classes, she'll have several skins to choose from at launch. The default one lets you really see the grafted flesh on her face, which is gross and awesome, like I mentioned earlier, whereas the other two options show off more of the cool looking armor that she wields. Her climbing movement looks really good, and of course you've got that unique looking execution that seems to siphon the life out of the human. Kind of like what Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat does with souls. And that's pretty much the gist of the new Summoner class, guys. Overall, she's really fun to play in the short amount of time that I got to try her out. I can't say already I like her better than the Tyrant and the Sentinel, personally. But she's about neck and neck with the Reaver for me. My favorite is still the Deceiver. I figured playing with her a little bit more might change my mind on that, though. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, the Summoner will be available on Tuesday, February 3rd for purchased or, of course, earned by unlocking the class token every 5 levels. Check the links in the description below for more information about the Summoner's lore and Nosgoth in general. And until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.
I am your death.